Welcome to Garden Grace and my backyard sanctuary tour. Hey there, it's Rebecca, and I have shared with you so much about my actually 5 towers, my GreenStalk towers and my grow bags, all up here in Garden Grace, the main area. And today I want to take you on a little adventure with me, showing you where faith, growth, and nature just, in my eyes, just kind of meld together. So again, y'all, so we've got, again, the Ladybug Tower where my strawberries are. Here is the Lightning Bug Tower that has all the cool season crops that I planted recently. The GS Tower has all the leftovers on plants like the peppers and the Malabar spinach that I'm just waiting for them to completely get done with their harvesting. And then my flower tower that has some more of the herbs and Swiss chard and lettuce for the fall. And then of course my pansy tower with carrots in that grow bag, my broccoli in those grow bags, and onions that I planted in those. And those back there, they're just waiting for me to do something else with them. So let's just take a little walk together and let me just share more of my property and the things that just bring me so much joy. Okay, y'all, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's thriving and fresh in the spring. But this is my shade garden that I put a shade cloth over because I removed that big huge tree on the deck that provided the shade. And so what this is telling me is it's at the end of the season, and you can see where all the blooms were, they're drying up, the leaves are turning brown and shriveling, and I have a little patch of grass right over there that I need to deal with. However, in here I have let's see if I can get around my moon plant. I have different ferns that love the shade, and then of course my hostas that just bring me so much joy. And y'all, this is a moonflower vine that I have on the shepherd's hook that's holding the shade cloth. And again, let me share with you what it really looks like when it's blooming and pretty, which it blooms at night. And then, so they're still there first thing in the morning. And then they have these really cool, look at that, we got some bugs on it. The spiral on the buds are so pretty. And this is just what happens to the flowers after they're done, and then they just fall off. So I have a bird bath here, and here's the bird feeder down here. And I'll show you how gorgeous these lantanas were when they were blooming. But as with everything, it's time for rest, and that's what's going on with them right now. I do have some blooms coming out on this one, which is interesting. It's right beside my rosemary plant, and then the trug that has my Prunella vulgaris, the self-heal herbs that are in there. So this little area is just kind of that fun addition to Garden Grace, where I like to have, my vegetables and everything up there, up on the deck, because I can keep an eye out on the squirrels that love to come up here. And y'all, I just have to share with you. We're going to go back up here for just a second because I cannot forget to tell you this. So, you see that? that little machine right there, it's scheduled to only come on at night, so it comes on at dusk. And it is a motion sound alarm, and it has dogs barking and gun shooting. And I promise you, it has kept the raccoons off of my deck, because I've had a mama with triplets, a mama with twins, and Big Daddy walking through that gets caught on our outdoor camera. And so that is keeping them off my deck. So if you've been following me, you know I'm going to figure out a way to do things and to do things easier. And that was one of the ways. And if I can find the little clip of it going off, I'll drop it right after this little segment so you can hear it, because it really is pretty funny. Yeah, so again, my view back here by the pool is the Chinese snowball viburnum, and the white butterfly ginger plants are over there. And then what I did is I ended up getting a new hibiscus, and this is what that one looks like. And then I've had this hibiscus for I think it's been, well, since 2010. So what is that? Yeah, 15 years. And it was in a pot, and I put it in the ground, and it has the red, and that one has peach colored. These are peach colored irises right here. And then I have 2 clematis that I'm actually going to get into the ground. Let's see, this one right there, and then this one right here. And this is what they look like. And then I just threw down some seeds, y'all. I have some zinnias, and then the marigolds that I thought would be kind of cool. And there's another one of the moonflower vines back over there. So that was kind of fun. And then, of course, my little water setup that I absolutely love. So let's keep walking, and we'll go through the big gate here. And I have so many lizards, so many chameleons that I absolutely love. And this was actually a new section of the fence that we had redone in the spring, because that gate had pretty much fallen over. So let's go check out the rest of the property. One thing I will say I love about my area is all the trees. The woods are just beautiful. So you can have your landscaped areas and manicured lawn, and still just be surrounded by woods, which is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Now, back here, there is actually the creek running underneath our back driveway. And back in 1999, y'all, we actually removed 28 trees off of our property, and 18 of them were pine trees, and some were huge pine trees. It's just, when you have that many trees, you're not going to have much yard, and it was just necessary for us at that point in time to try to create an outdoor area that we could maintain better than what it was before. And as you can see right now, the creek is there's nothing flowing, and it does go down there, winds around, and then flows back behind our neighbor's house and continues all the way down till finally it'll empty into the Ouachita River. So it's very interesting what it did look like and what we have created in that time frame. And y'all, I'm going to step back just a little bit so you can see these bushes. Now, all of this we did in 1999. These are Chinese snowball viburnum. And as you can see on the next clip, what they look like in the spring, how big the flowers are. And so again, it's very unusual that they're blooming at this time of year, but they start out with this, it's called the colors chartreuse green, the big balls, and then they turn to white. But they're absolutely gorgeous. They don't have a smell, but pollinators love them. So that's a wonderful bonus. And this is what they look like when they are in full bloom in the spring. And next, y'all, again, this huge tree right here is a mulberry tree. And I wish I had my own personal photo of the cedar waxwings that just inundate that tree when the spring, it's just loaded with mulberries. And that was actually, if you don't know what a cedar waxwing is, this is what they look like. And they're gorgeous. It looks like God has just put a little drop of paint on the tips of their wings. And, but that was the first time years ago that I saw is it the rosy-breasted grosbeak or rose-breasted grosbeak? Because they love the mulberries as well. So I love having that on this side of the property because that can be really messy. We actually had one when we redid our deck that was growing up through the deck. Oh my, talk about a mess, because when the birds eat the mulberries and then they poop, it's this purple that gets everywhere. So anyway, I'm glad that it's over here and we get to sit, and I'll show you what's kind of fun. We get to sit up there on our porch and see them. So we kind of have a front row seat sideways and be able to watch the birds, which is really fun. So this is part of the thing that we did, was because our property sloped so terribly bad, it was so hard to mow. So we had landscape beds created, and with the rock work, which, gosh, it has held up so well. They did such a good job. Again, what was that, 26 years ago? And so it's just, what did we need to do to keep erosion down and make it more usable and make it more beautiful? And that's what we ended up doing. So it worked out really, really well. And then probably 20 years ago, y'all, I actually, the manager that I had at my brick and mortar store, he had an aunt who grew these butterfly ginger plants. They are also white ginger plants, and they have the most fragrant smell. And we dug up just a few and got them planted here and got them planted by the pool. But the fragrance is absolutely luscious. It truly is. And again, it's white. The Chinese snowball is white, and my moonflower vine, where is that? Somewhere over there, is white as well. And that was a happy mistake, or no, happy occurrence, because I did not plan that they would all be white. But it's just such a refreshing color in the garden. I love all the other different colors, but that one is really pretty. Okay, so, oh, and I'm really hoping for rain later today because we've hardly had any rain. So let's just keep walking through and come over here. Again, there's the creek. It also comes from across the street, and it meets right there from this side and this side, and then flows on. And that's the edge of our property right there. And you can just see the beautiful azaleas. When I closed my brick and mortar store, I had still some azaleas, well, these for sale. And I thought, well, let's just bring them home and plant them. And again, I'm just so amazed at it's October and they're blooming and looking gorgeous. And here are a couple more that, oh, look at how pretty that is. Isn't that pretty? Honestly, I just smile when I look at flowering plants, because it's like they gave me this extra time of beauty before they're going to rest for winter. And then y'all, this tree right here, I believe it's just a dwarf, no, a miniature, no, maple, dwarf maple maybe. And actually my father died in 1995, and I had a friend who gave it to me, and we planted it over here by the creek, and it has continued to grow, spread out, and just create this beautiful canopy over here. And this is a camellia plant. This one's red, and honestly, that almost looks like, look, a little bloom right there, unusual time. And then there's a white one that's right on the corner of the house. This is something that I've always enjoyed watching. And when you realize you have different areas around your property where water can wash away things. Look, this is a dry creek bed, unless it's raining, and it runs down. It starts up there. The water runs off by the front door and then comes along the dry creek bed. And this is a bridge. And that rock right there, y'all, weighs 2,000 pounds. It's a ton rock. So it's very stable. And then it runs on down into the creek. And there's a better view of the tree. And I will show you what it looks like in the fall when it's all red and gorgeous. And so this is what the front of our property looks like. And you see all the leaves starting to fall now. But this, again, there's more azaleas that are blooming, adding in color. And you know what I love about this time of year, about fall? It's a reminder to me that God has created this beautiful sequence of events, meaning the time for the nutrients to surge up from the ground and go into the plants, and for them to shine in their season. And then it's time for rest. And so the nutrients go back down into the soil, and then they can rest after they've just provided all the beauty and elegance throughout the season. And so that reminds me, and I want to remind you, you can have a season of your life where you feel like not much is going on, and it may be your time to rest. It may be a time for you to just be quiet and get still with the Lord and figure out what's next for you in your life. And that's the way I love nature, because I feel like there are so many wonderful lessons, treasures that God is showing us for our own lives and what to do. And you know what? I'm going to look and see if I have a photo of this. This is a couple of white azalea bushes. And it just really shows off in the spring. And then we have Leland cypress, a loropetalum bush that gets these really pretty chartreuse colored, blooms on them. And yeah, so that's the main part of the rest of Garden Grace. And then again, back up here, there's my butterfly bush I'm training to be a tree. I'm going to have to remove that. That's a beauty berry bush, came up on its own, but I don't want it crowding out my butterfly bush. And then of course, you know, I feed the birds in the back, and I also feed them here. And it's very easy to keep clean. And then look at I'll show you in the next slide as well, this gorgeous hydrangea that just, again, I believe just shows off. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tour. Thank you so much for walking with me, because y'all, what I love about sharing that with you is just a little insight into what brings me joy, and my property definitely does that. There's, in every little corner, there is something happening, whether it's blooming right now or it already bloomed, and then just the differences of all the plants, how unique they are, and the structure of them is all different. And it just shows that when you look around your property, your yard, your deck, however big, however small, just remember that that is an extension of you and an extension of the nature that God has given you, and how even in times of rest, as we're moving into here this fall, or the times of rebirth like it's going to be again in the spring, each season has a purpose, and you have a purpose. And I want you to remember that, and that your purpose is meaningful and it's important. And I hope that you have enjoyed this tour with me, and I hope that you will become part of the Garden Grace family and just share, like, comment. And again, if you want to see more of this, let me know down below. What is your interest? What would you like to have seen more of, or have questions about? Just drop a comment, because I answer all the comments. And again, y'all, always remember, grow with grace. And until next time, I will see you right back here in Garden Grace. All right, y'all. Bye.